Before we dive into today's episode, I have something really exciting to share with you. I just released a brand new mini course called Fear to Freedom, Facing Panic and Avoidance with Confidence Without It Feeling So Hard. And if you're tired of avoidance running the show, this class is for you. Imagine if your life looked like this. You wake up without that pit of dread in your stomach. You confidently go for that drive, run errands, or take a walk without the fear of panic holding you back. And you start saying yes to things again, not because you're forced to, but because you trust yourself. This class gives you a compassionate, step-by-step approach to help you build self-trust, feel safer in your body, and actually take action without it feeling so dang hard. It's available now for just $47 through July 17th. And after that, the price goes up to $97. So don't wait, head to the link in the show notes, and let's get you moving toward the freedom you deserve. Okay, let's get into the episode. I'm Shannon Jackson, your host of a Healthy Push podcast. I struggled with anxiety, panic disorder, and agoraphobia for 15 years. Everything used to be hard for me. Even just driving 5 minutes from my house used to feel impossible. But now I absolutely live for travel and adventure, and I experience lots of peace and joy. I've not only reclaimed my life, but I've helped hundreds of others to do the same. Here, we stop managing anxiety and instead we create a healthy relationship with it. One where you say goodbye to the anxious thoughts, symptoms, panic attacks, and fears, and you actually live your life. Forget complicated strategies, quick fixes, or the same old hacks you've heard 100 times before. Each week, I'll bring you simple, actionable advice and honest conversations that lead to real, long-term healing. You aren't just an anxious person, my friend. There are reasons why you're struggling with anxiety, and these are things you can fix and heal from. And this is where that journey begins. Welcome. You're right where you're meant to be. All right, let's talk about panic attacks. And yes, this episode is called Fuck Panic Attacks Seriously, because let's be honest, they freaking suck. And sometimes you don't need a mindset shift and you don't need a breathing exercise. You just need to vent about how freaking awful they are. And that's what this episode is all about today. So this episode is part rant, part real talk, part validation, and hopefully part healing. Because sometimes the most healing thing is just saying, this is hard and it is okay to hate it. So let's jump in and talk about how awful panic attacks really are. I have shared this before, but I have had hundreds, maybe even thousands of panic attacks. I struggled with panic disorder, agoraphobia for 15 years. So there was a whole lot of freaking panic. And I can confidently say not a single one was a fun time. And some of them were really, really bad, like worse than others. And some of them caused me to do things that were, say, not my proudest moments. Like I remember one vividly where I was driving on a back road. I was literally probably 4 minutes from my house. And the speed limit, I think, was 40 miles an hour. And I was probably going 65, 70 miles per hour just so I could get home because I was on that verge of full-blown panic. Like it kept creeping up and I knew it was going to hit. And I was just like, okay, if I just get home, it maybe won't be so bad. And I, of course, didn't realize this in the moment, nor would I have cared that I was making things worse. Like I was causing myself to freak out even more, to panic even more. And I was adding actual danger by driving so incredibly fast. But truly in these moments, I had many of these moments where I either booked it out of a store or like was with friends and just made up an excuse to get out as quickly as possible. Like I was the queen at making up excuses to get out of places and situations, but I would try to get out just as fast as possible because when you do start to remove yourself, like to head back to your car or to your bike or you head back home or you head back to like a safe person, that anxiety, that panic starts to dissipate and you start to get some relief. Yeah, this moment was definitely one of the worst panic attacks. because not only was it already awful, like, I was making it even more awful and harder than it had to be. There was another panic attack that I remember very vividly, still to this day, even though this was years and years ago, but I remember being in a drive-through line, and I can't remember, it was probably, like, Dunkin' Donuts because I frequented Dunkin' Donuts often, drinking so much caffeine when I was already experiencing so much panic. But I was in this drive-through line, and I started to feel myself go there, and I was like, "Oh, shit, this is gonna be bad. I know I'm gonna have a panic attack." And I sat there and I was trying to, like, work through it. And when you're like, I can't," like, something just in you is like, "No, no, no, get out." And I literally didn't even think about it. Like, I drove up over the embankment of this drive-through like I was in Fast and Furious to get out because I felt so freaking trapped, and I was like, "I'm not gonna experience a panic attack right here, like, I can't handle it, I need to get out." And I laugh now, like, it's a little bit funny now, but back then, these panic attacks weren't even a little bit funny, and, like, I could go on and on and on with stories, like, I've had so many panic attacks where some I look back and I'm like, "That is really funny that I did that," and others where I look back and I'm like, "I can't believe panic can be as intense and as bad," and I definitely had a handful where I ended up in the emergency room, and so I'm glad that I can look at this all now with some lightness, but panic attacks are so freaking awful. Like, they used to be so physical for me. Like, I would have a lot of the anxious thoughts, and that's oftentimes what would start it all. But it would quickly go to the physical symptoms. And for me, it was primarily like the wave of, like, the tingling sensation, the heat, the shaking, and then I would feel nauseous, and then I would feel like I had to throw up, and sometimes I would, and I'd have to go to the bathroom, and I would have diarrhea, like, it was that true fight or flight response, and my body would say, "Danger?" Like, "Yeah, 1,000%," and then it would hit every alarm system it had, and I knew when you're in that, you can't really stop it. You can't do anything to stop it. And I think that's the hardest part, especially with experiencing the physical symptoms and sensations of anxiety. When they kick in and they're not even like really bad, your brain instantly goes to how bad this could be, right? Like, you could go into full blown panic mode. This could be really, really bad. This could be one of those really bad panic attacks that land you in the emergency room. I mean, this is where my brain often went. It's just awful, and I'm sure you'll be able to relate to these things. Like, I think a few of the biggest things that made panic so hard was that, like, "Am I dying?" spiral. Like, even though I knew logically, like, I'm not gonna die, when you're in it and that logical part of your brain shuts off and you go into that spiral, you really think like, "I am dying. I'm gonna die. Like, my body is shutting down. I am losing control. Like, this is it." It leads to that feeling of that full body betrayal, right? Like the heart pounding and the tunnel vision and the sweating, the feeling dizzy and lightheaded, your legs, your whole body feeling like it turns to jello. Like, it feels like your body is just not with you, right? And after all of it, like the spiraling and your body just full on freaking out, after you feel so exhausted and so ashamed and you're beating yourself up and you're like, "Oh my gosh, it's just panic." Like, you knew what it was, but it doesn't matter. And then, right, you're already fearing and dreading the next one. Like, you just experienced a really bad panic attack, you got through it, and your brain is already like, "Okay, what if this happens again?" And this is why so many people develop panic disorder, right? You have even one bad panic attack, and your brain so quickly and easily gets stuck on this. "Oh my gosh, this feeling is so awful. This cannot happen again. I will do anything to not have my body go there again." And before you know it, you're stuck in that cycle of trying to prevent it, trying to avoid it, and it's happening over and over again. Something, my brain I just thought of, which I've never really shared this before, I don't think. I think maybe I've shared this in my Panic to Peace program because it's a much more intimate setting and we really get to know each other over the course of 10 weeks. But I feel like it's really fitting here. When I was at my worst, like, experiencing a lot of panic attacks, like, multiple panic attacks a day, and some of them were really, really bad, I was working in a hospital. Like, I worked in the kitchen of a hospital. It was one of my first jobs, and I remember walking the halls, like, delivering food, and I'm gonna get so emotional. I remember thinking, "I wish I could just live here." Like, I wish I could just be in one of these rooms, and maybe then I would finally feel safe. And I remember also in this moment beating myself up because I would look into these rooms and say, "Shannon, like, these people are actually sick. Like, you are not sick, you're fine." But I wasn't fine. I was so far from fine. And I feel like if you haven't struggled with panic disorder and panic attacks, you don't get it. And you just can't understand because you haven't been through it. But I remember this feeling so much of not feeling safe in my body. I didn't feel safe in my mind. And I really felt like I was crazy. And to me, the thought of being in a hospital, like, even though I knew, like, nurses, doctors, what are they going to do, right? A panic attack is a panic attack. But I remember just feeling so much distrust and just not feeling safe and wanting so badly to feel that. And this was a thought that I had. And I wanted to share this because I think it might sound a little bit crazy to somebody who hasn't experienced panic attacks and panic disorder, but for somebody who has, I'm sure you may be able to relate to this thought and maybe you've had something similar. And so I just want to normalize it. Panic attacks are so awful and they really cause you to have such a lack of safety and trust within yourself and in, of your body. And so if you've had any thoughts like this, like, I wish I lived closer to a hospital, or I wish, I lived with family or friends, or, I don't want to be left alone ever. Like, if you've had any of these feelings, I just want to validate that and hold space for that. Like, it makes so much sense. And it's okay. You're not crazy. You're not going crazy. Like, I totally understand. And I know so many other people understand as well. But back when I was really struggling and I was working in the hospital, I actually had had some of the worst panic attacks I'd ever had in the hospital. And that just goes to show, right? Like, some of the worst panic attacks I'd ever had were in the freaking hospital that I worked at. And then my brain is like, well, wouldn't it be great if you lived here because you'd be safer? It's like, what? Like, that's delusion, right? Like, it's not safer. Like, I panic here. Like, I feel anxiety here and it's awful. So, oh gosh, I'm so glad that I can laugh about it now. But back then, oh, I hated panic attacks. And you know what? I have to say this here, like, it's okay to hate panic attacks. It's okay to feel angry and frustrated and just done. Like, you are allowed to feel that way about panic. So, I want to shift a little now and talk about like that logical versus emotional tug of war. And this is where things get extra annoying, right? Because you know that what you're experiencing is, quote, just anxiety. Like, it's just panic. But try telling that to your body when it's acting like you're being chased by a bear, right? And then people say things like, just calm down. Like, there's nothing to be anxious about. Just breathe. You're fine. It can't hurt you. And you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. Like, logically, right? And technically it's true. But in the moment, these things feel so invalidating. Like, I remember sometimes the people I was closest with would say this stuff to me, and I literally would want to just smack them and be like, "Okay, cool. Yeah, I should just stop panicking. I should just stop feeling anxious. I have nothing to feel anxious about." Like, great knowledge and insight. But it doesn't work that way. Like, there's such a disconnect between logic and experience. It won't kill you, but your brain and body, like, they just don't get that memo. They can't, especially when you're experiencing it. So this was kind of something for me that I had to stop playing that tug of war, and I just had to, like, let go of the rope because oftentimes I would have that dialogue with myself of like, "Shannon, it's just anxiety." Like, just like, I would even say this stuff to myself, "Just breathe, you're fine, you're okay, like, you're not freaking out." And none of that was true. So it's like I had to drop that rope and just be like, It is anxiety, and it's okay, and I can't just breathe my way through this, and I don't feel fine. Like, I feel really anxious, I feel really scared, and this feels like it can hurt me, but I am gonna get through this. I've always gotten through this. I am gonna be okay. But it is so hard because logically, right, there's so much that you know that you're okay, you know that you're gonna get through it, but when you're feeling anxious and panicky, like, none of that is at the forefront, and you just can't access that. So I just wanna call that out, like, this is such an important piece of panic that is important to highlight. Another thing I wanna talk about in relation to panic attacks is the damage that panic does, like, even if it can't kill you, right? So people often say panic attacks can't hurt you. And okay, fine. Maybe not in the medical, like, you're gonna die sense, but can they actually hurt you? Like, yes, I truly believe this. Absolutely. I mean, I experienced it for years and years, and it did hurt me. It really did affect me. It really did do me harm. And so I feel like this messaging of it can't hurt you is sort of just kind of invalidating, right? And doesn't feel good. Like, it's shitty because it does hurt. Some of the hardest aspects of panic is that it does chip away at your relationship with yourself. Like, you really stop trusting your body, your thoughts, and your strength and your own capability. Like, that is one of, I think, the deepest things that hurts when you're struggling with panic attacks. The other thing that really hurts is that it does impact your relationship with others. Like, talk about feeling misunderstood, right? You feel like you have to hide, like, you have to cancel, you have to make up excuses, you have to isolate, and inevitably you do, right? And you pull away, and your relationships with others is highly impacted, and this hurts. Like, you lose people, you lose friendships, whether it's sort of your isolation that's causing it, right? Or other people not being able to understand. Like, the loss of relationships is incredibly hard and hurtful. And just in general, panic attacks really shrink your life, right? Which hurts. Like, you start avoiding things that you used to really love. Like, you start to lose a lot of joy and passion, and you don't feel very much happiness. And you build this world that's really, really small. And so, yeah, panic attacks like don't cause you to just lose all control and die, but they can sort of break you in a sense. And oh, I don't want to cry again because I just feel like my voice gets so shaky. I have no shame in crying, but I don't want it to be hard to understand me and what I'm saying, but panic attacks really do break you. Like, experiencing them often and having that battle, it does break you, and I know that feeling, and so when people say, like, "It doesn't hurt you, it can't harm you," I just wanna say, "Fuck that." It's not true, and I wanna instead validate, like, it does hurt, it does harm you, and it is so incredibly hard. And now here's where I feel like I'm gonna get a little hypocritical, but not really. So I have to highlight, right? I always teach and talk about how it's so important to create a healthy relationship with anxiety and panic. Like, I teach you how to not be so harsh with it, right? Not to continue to resist it and push up against it and fight it and make it go away. And instead, I teach you how to respond with curiosity and compassion and acceptance. And it's because all of this stuff is what really helped me and is what's helped hundreds of my students. Like, it is the stuff that is so helpful, but I want to be clear. You can still say fuck panic attacks and be healing and heal. Like, you can still hate the experience and show up for yourself in a kinder, more helpful way. Like, there's such a paradox here, and I want you to hear this, right? Like, healing doesn't mean loving or liking or accepting, really. Like, I love that this thing has hurt me, right? I love that it's caused so much harm and it's caused things to be incredibly hard. No, no, no. It means learning to approach it in a healthier way, right? Like, truly facing anxiety, truly working to create that healthy relationship with it and not letting it continue to run your life. So I wanted to say this because we can absolutely shit on anxiety and panic. Like, you can feel however you feel about it. and still be healing. We don't have to like it. We don't have to love it. We don't have to be like, oh, anxiety is just a protector and it's so helpful and I love it. And I love panicking and I love how it makes me feel. Like, no, fuck that. Like, you can still feel and say, fuck panic attacks and be healing. So, I want to kind of pivot now and just share some things that I wish somebody had said to me back when I was struggling. And maybe these are things that you've heard before, but I really want you to hear me. Like, you are not broken. I know it feels like your body is so beyond repair. Like, I know it feels like there's so much fixing to be had, but you are not fixing you. You are not broken. It's your relationship with anxiety that needs fixing. Okay. That's what we're working on. It does not have anything to do with you. There is not inherently anything broken or wrong with you. I don't care if you've been experiencing anxiety since you were a little kid. Like, I was there. I told myself all those stories. You're just destined, right? This is who you are. You've always been anxious. You're an anxious person. Like, no, no, no. You are not broken. And also, you are not weak for struggling. Like, the strongest people that I've ever met are people who are struggling with anxiety, panic disorder, and agoraphobia, myself freaking included in this. Like, you are not weak because you're struggling with anxiety. It is not something that discriminates, right? It can hit anyone at any time, and it can literally be just one really hard life event, one experience, one panic attack. So you are not weak. And also, you are not crazy. Like, I know anxiety makes you feel like you're going crazy, especially panicking, especially dealing with those panic attacks. You are not dealing with crazy. Okay. You're very, very sane. What you're struggling with is anxiety, and that can make you feel absolutely like you're going crazy, but you're not crazy. And also, you are not stuck like this forever. Okay. Like, this disordered anxiety, this anxiety that's screaming at you and causing you to feel like everything is dangerous and causing these alarms to go off unnecessarily. Like, this is not always going to be the case. You are not always going to struggle with this. Right now, it is okay that you are. I know you don't want to be, but we have to accept the what is right now, right? In order to not continue to be stuck. So I think about this often, and I've done these exercises over the course of years, right? But sort of doing that inner child work where you go back and you're like, I just wish I could hug that little Shannon. I wish I could make her feel safe. I wish that I could tell her what she needs to hear. I wish that I could approach her in the way that would have been so helpful rather than the ways that I approached her. But that's the work you get to do now in moving forward. That's the beautiful part of recovery is you can start treating yourself in that kinder, gentler, more compassionate way. And it's going to help you so much to heal and to not have this really disordered relationship with anxiety. So, I would say something like this to myself, like, Shannon, I know that this sucks so much. I know it feels like you're never going to come out of it, but you will. And it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And you're going to be so incredibly proud of yourself because you're going to be the one who did it. You need to stop fighting and you need to start accepting that this is anxiety and it's not something else. You don't need another fix, you don't need another solution. You need to work on creating a healthier relationship with what's already happening. And you need to meet yourself where you're at and support yourself. And you are so, so capable of this. You're going to come out of this, but it's only going to happen with lots of love and support and compassion. And I could go on and on and on. Like, I have written some very beautiful letters to myself over the years. And maybe at some point I will share some of those if I can hold it together and not be so emotional. But it's such an emotional thing when you've gone from really struggling every single day with what feels like every moment of every day just to get through it and just to not panic and hold yourself together. When you've gone from that to experiencing the life that I now have, it's insanely beautiful. Like, I appreciate every second of it. I tell myself often that I am so incredibly proud of myself for continuing to take steps despite it feeling so hard. Like, you just need to continue to meet yourself with where you're at, let yourself be in the struggle and support yourself through it and have some blind freaking faith that you're going to get through it. It is so hard to believe. You can't convince yourself, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to recover, I'm going to heal and my life is going to look great and I'm going to do XYZ that I've always hoped to do. Like sometimes you just got to have that blind faith. I have no idea. I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't even really fully believe it, but I'm just going to trust. I'm just going to have some blind faith that it is possible and that it will happen for me. And that's oftentimes when it does happen, when you let go and you really meet yourself where you're at and you support yourself through the hard stuff. So if you're really in it right now, like if you're experiencing a lot of panic or just a lot of that high anxiety and you're not even panicking because you're just trying so hard to not panic, if you are really in this space right now, I want you to hear this. Like, I know it feels hopeless. I know it feels like, what is even the point? Like, I am just an anxious person. Like, what is the point? You can and you will heal. Healing is so hard, but it's also so beautiful and it's so worth it. And more importantly, you are so worth it. So you can say, fuck panic attacks and still show up for yourself. And you can be frustrated and exhausted and still keep healing and supporting yourself. And you don't have to do it perfectly. Like, let it look how it looks. Okay. And that's going to be so helpful. And if you know somebody who really needs to hear all of this, please share this episode with them. Like, I know back when I was struggling, if I could have heard something like this, oh, the validation, like the knowing I'm not crazy, the just knowing somebody gets it would have gone such a long way. And if you're really wanting to dig in and do the work, if you're like, I want to create that healthy relationship, I feel like I've tried everything, I don't know what else to do. I have so many resources for this. And two classes that I would highlight here. The first is Overcoming the Symptoms and Panic Attacks. That will really teach you how to respond in a healthier way to the symptoms and panic so that they stop showing up. And also my new mini course, Fear to Freedom. And that'll teach you how to start facing panic and avoidance in a healthy way with confidence so that these things stop keeping you stuck. And I just had this thought, and I think that this would be really cool. I would love for you to send me a DM or leave me a comment if you have a fuck panic attack story. Like, if you have a story that you're like, I can look back at this now and I think that this is kind of funny, or this is really hard and I'm just so proud of myself, like I got through it. I would love to hear these. And if you're comfortable, let me know, like when you share this with me, if I can share this. I don't know, my brain's going in so many directions right now, but I think this would be such a cool podcast episode to dedicate to like fuck panic attack stories and just to laugh and be able to relate and to validate and like, I don't know, I think it might be a really cool idea. So if you want to share a story with me, share an experience, I would love that. You can connect with me on Instagram at A Healthy Push. That's primarily where I live on social. And I just always love to connect to you, everyone in my community, and know who the heck it is I'm supporting. I hope that this has been incredibly validating and just light and also gives you some hope and is healing. So you know what I'm going to say? Until next time, keep taking healthy action. I hope you loved this episode of A Healthy Push. If you have, I'd be so grateful if you could leave me a rating and review wherever you're listening to this podcast. This helps people to find the show and get the support they need. And if you know someone who could use a little push, be sure to share this episode with them. And for even more support, head over to ahealthypush.com for show notes and loads of tips, tools, and inspiration to help you on your recovery journey. I'll see you next week.